Welcome to the final Stache Club Wrestling Podcast episode of 2024.
Wow.
And here's the thing. We already got a bunch of them recorded for 2025.
Let's fucking go. Yeah, we are all of next year covered, guys. Don't worry.
We filmed early.
We're one step ahead of you guys.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for a great 2024,
Yes.
Successful year on the channel.
Hopefully everyone had a good Christmas, a good holidays
Agreed.
with friends and family and all that stuff.
Yeah, it is crazy because our recording schedule last week was weird. We did the Stashies,
All over
and
the
there was the
place.
holiday,
Yeah.
and then
Yep.
So yeah, we're back to just regularly scheduled program. We're just chatting, wrestling.
Back ready to go.
Speaking of Stashies, though, I do want to give a thank you to a few people. One, all of you for watching.
Absolutely.
It was a very successful Stashie Awards this year.
Great.
And thank you to all of our guest presenters. They really pulled through last minute. I was sending out messages and we got there's a few people we weren't able to get because of scheduling stuff, but
Great response.
The responses we got were
Unbelievable.
crazy, dude. So shout out everyone, shout out the whole creator community for taking part of that.
They made it special. It
was great. I loved it.
We got the Avengers
Yeah, it was
together,
sick.
as people have been saying.
With that said, though, I guess I'm ready. We got a lot to go over. I'm ready to jump into it.
Let's do it.
Before we do that, I do want to plug the Patreon. This is the main feed podcast episode. If you want an entirely additional exclusive Patreon podcast where we do a lot of Q&A, wrestling Q&A, we chat movies, we talk other stuff, head over to patreon.com/Stache Club Wrestling for that. For $5 a month, you get the whole back catalog as well.
Hell yeah.
We're going to be answering a bunch of your questions on the show today.
Fuck yeah.
All right, with that said, we're going to kind of run through SmackDown to get us caught up to Raw. And then we also have AEW World's End, which I thought was a pretty solid
we
show.
absolutely do.
All right, we're going to start out here with... like I said, we're going to kind of breeze through SmackDown, but Chelsea Green, she had a U.S. title celebration. They were teasing the Piper Niven turn. We got a Meechin interruption. This is solid. I'm already loving Chelsea Green's U.S. title run. She was dressed as the
Statue of Liberty. Yeah. She has such
Statue of
iconic
Chelsea.
fits. She has her looks are always amazing. Yeah, I mean, she's the longest reigning U.S. Women's Champion right now.
I did mention that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't really had any matches, defenses, nothing like that yet. But so far, like her presentation, the way she is, her character, and dealing with the belt of the whole theme of the USA dressed up as Statue of Liberty, it's perfect. I think it's just gonna get better and better. Yeah. Obviously, it seems like Meechin is still in the mix here. She's going to be going after the belt, or like you said, Piper turning. That could lead to
they'll do that eventually, probably after Meechin.
There, but it is good to see that with this new belt, they're already they're setting time aside to plan stories and get matches set up and all that. So good start so far.
It's nice too that she has the U.S. title because you can make more of a theme out of it. You know what I mean? Like
I genuinely think she's gonna elevate it too.
Yeah.
Like obviously she's the first one holding it, but I really think she's the perfect first person to have the belt. She's gonna treat it so well.
I agree. All right, we're going to move on to Street Profits defeating Los Garzas, who were reminding everyone that they are still signed to the main roster. This is a great match. This is a banger. I took a jab at them, but every time Los Garzas of Berto and Angel Garza are always on TV, it's always a good time. Street Profits are Street Profits. We know what they can do. This was solid. This is a good just tag division, building the tag division sort of thing on SmackDown.
Hey, man, they have a lot of really good tag teams, and it's crazy what they do when they actually give them TV time and give them a story and give them a solid, few minutes to go out there and perform. But that was one of my, in 2025, dude, WWE just needs to just put more focus on the tag team division.
100%.
They have so many talented tag teams. Some are teams like DIY, Morrissey, Machine Gun, Street Profits. Those are legit tag teams. And you even got some guys that are just put together, but you have so much. Make it work next year because you could really have a strong tag team division if you give them time.
I mean, I don't want to keep on going in circles here. I feel like we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks, but put Pretty Deadly on them the damn show.
Were they on SmackDown this past week?
They were backstage. They did a weird thing where they were or maybe they were on Raw. What was it?
I thought I saw them on TV somewhere.
They did a backstage segment, and then I think they were talking to DIY.
I forget. Let me look.
They were talking to DIY, and they were No, I'm sorry. They're talking to the Street Profits. And they Street Profits were like, who took us out? And Pretty Deadly were like, we know who.
Oh,
and then they were like, it was them. And they sent them to go beat up. It wasn't Waller in Theory. It was I don't know, a different tag team that just like it was. I don't know. There was no reason for Pretty Deadly to like be defending DIY. And I don't know. It was dumb.
Yeah. It was Pretty Deadly told Street Profits that it was the Garzas who attacked them, and that set up the match.
That's what it was.
And then the Garza, I think they admitted that they lied or they didn't do it, whatever. And then there was something later where it was another tag team accused someone. I forget. There's a lot of finger pointing of who attacked who, but hey, it's a
I don't know how you're not at this point. You're not just like, oh, it was probably DIY, the team that
just turned heel and won the titles. Probably them.
Probably them.
You know what? They're giving them a story. They're giving them something. So I'm not going to complain.
New Bloodline interrupt Carmelo Hayes versus Sami Zayn in what was a very fun match. Braun Strowman came down to help. In the end, New Bloodline stood tall. Blah blah blah. Yeah, we're just getting to the new year.
Yeah, I mean, New Bloodline is still attacking, the Usos. Well, yeah, the Usos, Sami Zayn here and all that. So they're keeping that going.
Am I crazy to say that I'm pretty sleepy on New Bloodline again?
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
I think that's fine. I think after Raw, Netflix, when Solo and Roman fight for the Ulafala.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
I don't know where the New Bloodline goes from there if it concludes that
it needs a new direct. I'm not going to just say straight up put it to rest because there's still story to be told with The Rock coming in, but I don't know. I love Jacob, I love Solo, but the Tongas just don't do it for me. Them as a stable just don't work as well as OG.
I prefer Tama Tonga over Tonga Loa
for sure.
It's just, what is their story when Roman Reigns isn't? If Roman Reigns is out of the picture, what's their story?
Right.
And I think post Netflix, when if Solo beats Roman, then I guess that's how you keep it going. But if Roman wins, which he probably should and will, where do they? That's the question. Where do they go from there? That's to be seen. But like you said, we love Jacob, we love Solo. Solo's improved, tremendously, but it is a big question mark of what happens after all of this.
Because if Roman wins and gets the Ulafala,
that's the whole thing.
They don't need because then The Rock's gonna get brought in, maybe eventually.
Right.
You don't really need Solo in the New Bloodline. I don't know.
The only way is if The Rock comes back and he's the leader of the New Bloodline. He's pulling the strings. That's the one thing that can kind of wrap it all up and be like, okay, makes sense. But there's no guarantee that happens.
I don't know. It needs some rejuvenation.
We'll see what happens on Raw. If there's a place to be rejuvenated, it's the Netflix debut. All
right, we're gonna bounce over to Raw. We got the New Day and Jey Uso starting out Raw. New Day still can't get a word in.
So funny.
It's really good.
I love it.
I think when it first happened, I forget if you were saying it or you read something, or there's a speculation in general that that might have been on the fly of New Day, we're going to cut a promo, and they just saw they were getting booed and took that and ran.
Took it in stride,
If that was scripted or not, or if that was on the fly, either way, it works. I'm glad they played into it this week of them not being able to get a word in. Yep. They're like, Jay, talk to him. We have history. Jay brushed him off, said New Day sucks, blah, blah. And then Drew McIntyre comes in, attacks Jey Uso. Good segment to open up the show, though.
Great. Drew McIntyre, man. I'll sing his praises every single week. This upcoming year is going to be Drew. He is going to be the star of WWE in 2025. They are setting him up to have such a crazy run. And I love this Bloodline Hunter story so much. It's so fucking good. I'm so bought in.
Even if it wasn't Cody, For Wrestler of the Year, Drew would have had for me, it would have been between Drew and Swerve.
He would have had a great case. He would have been the leader in WWE at the very least.
Agreed.
100%.
Yes, 100%.
I like the whole. One thing that WWE has done very well, especially with the 2 hours, I'm curious if it'll continue with the 3, is how they just are able to combine so many different stories into one.
That's been fun.
The New Day, then Jay comes out, then Drew comes out.
And Jay's that's not even what I'm out here for.
Exactly. It mixes everything together, which, it's good television. It's easy to watch. So interested to see if that continues when you add an extra hour. Also, before we continue to Raw, it is crazy to think that this was the last episode on cable
we haven't really
television.
that.
32 years it's been on cable.
Yeah, they did a cool video package doing all the highlights and stuff.
And it's not
it's crazy.
It's not a forever thing. Like it's 10 years is a long time, but who knows? After Netflix, they could go back. But it is crazy to think about that after all these years, they're not on television anymore. Yeah,
and it's a monumental move. Well, also as a couple of things where it's like I feel like maybe it's more of a back in our day sort of thing, but I feel like a lot of people might have got turned on to wrestling or just by stumbling upon it, flipping the channels, and you see fucking Undertaker out there.
That's how I got into it. Really,
I think so too. So it's interesting that like that's not going to be there for Raw, because if you're watching it on Netflix, you have to seek it out. There's no like turning on Netflix for the most part. Like obviously,
they
whatever.
could do a because Peacock does it where they have a whole separate tab that's just WWE. So maybe they'll make like a big like thing, like at least for the first episode, maybe like Monday Night Raw, this whatever. But I agree with you. It's much less likely for someone to stumble upon it on a streaming platform than television. But they are. I guess in a sense trendsetters, because they're really, I mean, it's NFL and NBA are starting to do like games specifically on like Amazon and like Peacock. You have to have them to watch, but for like,
I'll tell you, that's been fucking confusing.
It's fucking annoying. For I think it was on Christmas, all credit to them. Like the NFL, this was the first year they had Christmas Day games, but it was on Netflix. So having to go from football to basketball, to go from
NBA
Netflix,
was on Netflix this year.
No, football.
Oh, I'm sorry.
NBA was still no. So you have to switch from Netflix to YouTube TV just to go in between games. It's so. I wish we had something that just had everything all together. Maybe you call it cable or something. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with it, but it is crazy that it's just going to be on Netflix moving forward, and I think more people are going to start doing it. That's what I was.
It's going to be interesting to see. I would even say over the next 5 years of what contracts get done. Like is the NFL going to sign an exclusive deal with Hulu?
I can see it. No, I genuinely can see it. I think there's so much money to be made, especially like a company like Amazon. If they throw a bag at the NFL, of course they're going to make it exclusive. They'll be like, we don't give a fuck if people are complaining. We're going to make $100 million or whatever. Yeah. That's just, I think that's just the next step of like streaming and television and all that stuff. And hey, WWE is getting ahead here. So
the only thing that sucks now is I'm paying for YouTube TV and Netflix.
And YouTube TV just went up in price.
Bro, I'm about to cancel.
Thank God.
I gotta look at like
Thank
other
God
shit.
I moved for my parents.
Yeah.
Thank fucking Christ.
I need to I gotta see, cause like different like Sling might not have like USA and this, so I'm gonna look at, but like fuck,
you can
YouTube
find
TV.
a package where like they offer certain ones that like you watch these ones specifically, and they don't include ones that you wouldn't watch. So you have to find the right package. But it is fucking dumb.
If only there was a whole streaming network that was just WWE and they streamed their live shows.
Crazy.
Wouldn't that be nuts?
The WWE network was fucking awesome when
it was,
and it wasn't overseas. They still had it in like the UK up until now.
Yeah,
because in the US they weren't able to get whatever the fuck it was. But yeah, WWE
in
network.
some countries, Raw and SmackDown, I think NXT too, are going to be on Netflix.
I did hear that somewhere. I think crazy. Okay, back to Raw.
All right, Chad Gable defeats. I almost call him Chad Otis. Chad Gable defeats Otis in a really fun match. Otis seems like he took this opportunity and showed the fuck out. This was awesome.
You know what would have been better if they did this 2 months ago. Maybe
yeah, right. Yeah,
probably.
The feud, for the sake of the story and the feud, it was just like, why is this happening now?
I didn't even know they were still.
I didn't know they were still feuding.
Fighting. I thought we were way past it.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, just separating all that and just focusing on the match. You're right. It was a great match. Otis showed out. Chad Gable is a master in the ring, so he also looked great. But yeah, good match. But again, just a few months too late. Don't want to take away from it, but.
I love the it's not a new shirt, I don't think, but the Alpha Academy shirt, which like I think it's called like it's Alpha Babes or something like that. I don't think it's funny. It has like cartoonized.
I'll look it up right now.
It's wicked funny. We knew this isn't a new conversation. Like we knew this was gonna happen to Alpha Academy.
We got you, babe.
That's what it is. Yeah, we got you, babe. Alpha babes.
That's hilarious.
We knew this was going to happen to Alpha Academy.
Yeah.
Like you said, this match should have happened too. This feud. Like there should have been a whole.
There should have been a bigger payoff months ago.
There should have been a bigger payoff. There should have been a whole Chad Otis feud. There should have been a whole like Otis defending Alpha Academy, whatever.
If they built this up, I genuinely believe that could have been like the main event of a Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't see why they couldn't have, but
I mean, think of it this way too. Imagine if Chad actually won the IC title, then it's Otis and Chad for the IC title. Like that would have been, at this point we're just hindsight 2020 fantasy booking.
But no, it would have made sense.
Either way, I'm glad we got it. I'm glad Otis got this time to show off,
right,
and show what he can really do. But yeah. That was kind of that. I don't see much coming out of this. So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Something that I do see a lot moving forward coming out of this is Dakota Kai defeating Zoe Stark to advance in the IC tournament.
Let's go.
This was sick. Dakota Kai hit a mean super kick to Zoe Stark coming off of a springboard. Mm-hmm. I would say this is some of, if not the best I've seen out of Dakota Kai in the main roster in singles competition. It felt like she was really proving herself, proving her worth, that she deserves her spot where she is. Great. Love it. Bada bing, bada boom.
She's always been great. She's always had that it factor where like she could be a solo champ, tag team champ. You can put her in any position and she's gonna run with it. Unfortunately, as we all know, injuries has been the biggest thing holding her back. It seems like she's just one knee injury after another. It's always something, but she's healthy now. Knock on wood, I really hope it stays this way because from the very beginning, I think me and you were very much so in support of Dakota Kai going all the way in this tournament. And the match is next week, I believe, on Netflix.
Yep.
So... we'll talk about the other match and who she'll be facing later, but I'm rooting for her, man.
Me too.
It would be fucking awesome.
Me too.
If she got that recognition and got her flowers.
Yeah, well, like I said, we'll talk more about the tournament and who should win as a whole when we talk about the winner of the other side. But I'm glad she's in there for sure.
Me too.
All right, Damian Priest and the War Raiders defeat Judgment Day.
Great.
The new Judgment Day song is ass.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I missed that part of Raw. Haven't listened to it.
It's bad.
The new song. I didn't see anything great about it. I'll listen.
Especially
because
they had Alter Bridge, so it's
It doesn't
dumb.
get better. It can't get better than that.
The hi-hats in it are really fucking loud. It's stupid. Finn Balor attacks Damian Priest post-match. Surprise, surprise. They get run off by the War Raiders. And then my note in here, I was taking notes as I was watching the show. So my note was that I'm very over the Priest and Finn feud. And as I was typing that, Finn Balor was like walking away going, we're only getting started.
Awesome.
This isn't over. I was like, God fucking damn it.
Dude, it is actually baffling. It's crazy how the Judgment Day, because Judgment Day, I feel like in their existence, it's been like a up and down thing for them. It's like they started with Edge, it was up, and then Finn came in, whatever. Then they hold the tag team belts for so long. They're running Raw hostage, main eventing every week. Then we're kind of getting tired of it. And then Damian wins the world title. We're starting to get little like pieces of them splitting up. Gets really good, and then they do all these splits of Rhea leaving, Finn and Damian, and then everything goes to shit. Liv and Rhea was good at first. Now I know they have their match
and
next week.
Carrying it.
You want to talk about being done after Raw? I don't care if Liv wins or Rhea wins. They both need to move on after that. Finn and Damian, I'm with you. I mean, I feel like we should care more. It should feel more important. So I feel like this is a feud that has been anticipated and has been built up for a while, but now we're here and it's been very underwhelming. They had two matches, technically, the triple threat and then their one-on-one match. And then I don't know. I'm so disinterested in anything the Judgment Day does right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they can do to fix that. I don't know if they can fix that, but I'm very much so on the outskirts of the Judgment Day for the women's side of things and the men's side of things.
It doesn't help that, one, it's been going on for so long. It's not like they've had all-timer matches.
No.
Finn, for the most part, has just been getting his ass kicked.
They did have some good, I will say, when they were tag team champions, Finn and Damian, looking back on it, they were holding Raw hostage and all that stuff, but it wasn't the worst title, at least compared to what we've gotten over the last few months with the tag team belts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more so am talking about like matches they've had post.
Oh,
like,
yes, 100%.
Post breakup.
100%.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't know. It's even tougher because like this feud, obviously it's different story, but for the most part, it's these two guys hating each other, right? You have a way more interesting version of that in a Punk and Seth. Like it doesn't help it.
They need to. They haven't done anything to elevate the feud or done anything extreme. Like Finn Balor hasn't gone savage.
All we've done is Finn running in, puts a guy's leg on the ropes, and screws Damien out of the match.
It's like 100%. That's not like enough for people to be super interested in whatever. Like you need. I wish they did this I wish they did Finn and Damien on Netflix or something.
Surprised they're not.
Because like, just have Finn go scorched earth on Damien, like beat the shit out of him, chairs, put him through tables, make him bleed. Then I'm like, okay, like now I'm interested. But they haven't done anything like that.
I don't think this feud deserves the Demon. But if you're gonna bring out the Demon and do like you have a match, maybe it's a surprise Demon, and then Finn just like kills him for 2 minutes and that's it,
dude.
It'd be like, okay, maybe we got something here, and then maybe Finn's on a roll.
I love your optimism. And I think you should carry that into the new year. I'm not with you on that. I think they killed the Demon 2 years ago when Roman beat him, when he was fucking seizing on the ground and then the ropes broke and whatever. And then lose to Edge, which all credit to Edge. He's a legend. I don't think he should have won that one. I definitely think
we're gonna have a whole Edge.
We're gonna have a whole lot to say about Edge in a little. Adam Copeland. Believe me,
I'm saying that's the only way I think they could. It'd be the only way they could resurrect it or at least make it interesting. You know what I mean?
I'm with you, but I think that like. They did so much to ruin that character that at least if he came back, I wouldn't care. They would have to do.
I think most people would forget, to be honest with you.
It's been 2 years.
Yeah,
it's been almost 2 years. So, you know what? At this point, they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, again, I'm not saying this feud doesn't deserve it, but if they're gonna pull out one more string.
Yeah, this is their break glass in case of emergency thing.
Exactly.
It literally is.
One other problem I had with this match is. The War Raiders just won the tag team championships last week. They felt on top of the world. Hell yeah, we got new tag team champions. And now they're just in a 3-on-3. They should have been in a. I'm glad they're on TV for sure. Why aren't they in a tag team division match? How come they're not facing another tag team?
Who were the 3 Judgment Day members that they fought? Was it Dom, Carlito, and JD? Or
Finn in the match? Dom, Finn, JD, I believe.
So Finn was in the match. Because I was going to say, like, you could have just had the War Raiders being like, them and Damien are doing their thing, and they're like, we'll fight these two feud tonight. Like, Damien fights Dom, and then the War Raiders fought Finn and JD. I know they fought last week and stuff, but you kind of like split it up a little bit, you know? Because I feel like in that 6-man match, they were overshadowed by the Judgment Day. And
for sure.
So
it's that's my whole thing is like we just got them with the titles as a feel good moment. They should be doing their own thing. Sure, if you want to continue that, like I get continuing the feud with like JD and Finn if they're still going to be a tag team and whatever. Is there going to be a rematch? Who knows? But yeah, I didn't love them getting overshadowed just 1 week after they won the tag
War
titles.
Raiders win the tag belts, and Triple H is immediately having the Judgment Day involved. So like you can't get enough of them.
Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre is set for Raw on Netflix.
Let's go.
That's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good one.
Yep.
And then we got a very obvious Penta tease.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
They're not hiding it anymore.
Babe, just literally just putting his face on the screen in the mask shape and then, whatever.
You saw New Day and Rey Mysterio backstage.
Oh yeah.
So people are saying, well,
I didn't even think of this. Go ahead. Yeah.
They're like, we'll challenge you to a match, whatever. Ray's like, I'll have a partner, and they're like, oh, you're gonna pick one of these guys, blah blah. They're like, you know what? Show up next week with whoever you want. We'll be there and all that.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
And a lot of people were joking, being like, oh, Penta's come to WWE, LWO, put him right in there.
Oh,
and
no.
man, oh man, they might be right. Hey, I mean, I'll tell you what, having Penta go up against probably the two biggest heels right now, good for a crowd reaction. You're gonna get the reaction of like, oh, it's Penta, and like, oh, he's gonna beat the shit out of the people we hate.
Plus, Rey Mysterio and Penta tag teaming is fucking sick.
But this should be do not keep this going.
What's a one-off?
One off, and then have him go.
Penta should be a single star
until Ray Fenix comes in.
Yes, then you have like a year or like whatever the fuck
do not
to get
put him in
Solo.
the LWO for the love of fucking God. You already did that with Dragon Lee. Keep it the way it is.
I saw a tweet that was like the second they showed that like graphic or whatever, it was quick move LWO to SmackDown now.
Yeah, no, genuinely. So
that's crazy.
Unfortunately, Penta is going to be debuting with the LWO, like people were jokingly saying, but Penta is going to be on Raw next week, supposedly.
I guess, and I don't even know if this is true anymore. Like the conversation of like the internet crowd versus like the audience
right.
versus like who's the 90% of the WWE audience, right? I don't even know if that distinction is like how true that is, but going on the assumption that maybe a pure WWE audience might not be as hip to a Penta, and if he shows, like, I think he will get a good reception.
I
like,
agree.
There's
that risk.
On the off chance that people are just like, who is this guy? Putting him with faces like Ray and the New Day does help. Especially like if you put him with Ray, then people are like, oh, another cool masked guy. I can get behind this.
Right.
Then it does help.
Another masked high flyer.
It does help introduce him. That's like the bare minimum of like I get it.
I agree. I think that probably is the biggest reason why they're doing this is to have him in a match with three of the biggest names in WWE, and for that risk, that off chance of most people being like, he looks familiar, but I don't really know who he is. Like putting him with someone like Ray is going to give him that pop.
You know, I also saw, and this I don't think would work. This is too silly and out there, but you know who is also debuting on the same show, or not debuting, returning, is John Cena. So imagine Raw on Netflix, we get John Cena versus Pentagon Jr.
It's happening. That's why they're teasing
Imagine
it. Cena comes out and immediately Penta comes out. He's like, I want to be the one to retire you.
Imagine 2 years ago saying that sentence on, man, I can't wait to see on Raw in John Cena's return him to face Pentagon Jr.
That's wrestling in 2025.
Oh,
man. You never know anymore. But yeah, it is exciting that he is, going to be on Raw, that he's officially in WWE. Something to look forward to.
I'm fired up.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
Sheamus attacks Ludwig Kaiser mid-promo. We haven't seen Sheamus since Survivor Series. Ludwig, pretty good promo. He was like, he's basically saying, I'm the guy, I'm him, blah, blah, blah. And then we're probably leading to a Sheamus-Ludwig feud. And cool. This is a solid...
Got to fill out the card next week.
That's a thing.
So I'll probably get a little 10-minute match next week.
All right, here we are. We're back in the IC tournament. We got Lyra Valkyria defeating Io Sky, who replaced Kairi Sane. They're kind of teasing a potential. Ooh, are we going to do a damage control
Dakota
finals?
Kai was up top, kind of watching the match. Yeah,
really fun match. I mean, I'll say it every single week. Io Sky is the fucking greatest, dude. She's holy incredible. Shit. And also, it takes two to tango. Lyra Valkyria also showed that she is also one of the best in proving herself. Like, yeah, I got fucking called up for a reason. Yep. Lyra worked the knee the whole match. A couple really, really cool spots. Io sold her ass off. My take here is I ultimately, this might be surprising for me. I'm glad Lyra won over Io. I tweeted this. I'm basically just going to reiterate what my thought there. Io has already won the world title. Yes. She's already an established world title, former world title world champion. She's a former world champion, established world title contender. She doesn't need to, and I'm going to say step down, because at the end of the day, it is a mid-card title versus a world title. So I don't think it's not a negative.
It's the same logic. I'll let you finish.
It's just a different division.
Yeah.
I don't think Io Sky needs to be in the mid-card division. I don't even know, unless Kairi is actually injured, I don't really understand the Io replacing Kairi in the first place. I'm glad this match happened. It was cool to see Io involved in it. It elevated the tournament. Ultimately, Io shouldn't be competing for the IC title. She's already graduated to the world title. So I'm over the moon that it's Lyra and Dakota. Lyra absolutely deserves it. This match was great. We got Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria for the IC title on Raw.
It's like the same. What I was going to say, it's like the same logic of like Bayley and winning it for the United States. It's like Io winning the IC belt. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it, but that belt is more so made for people that aren't in the main event scene, that aren't quite at the level of being a world champion yet. Like Dakota Kai and Lyra Valkyria. Lyra did have, she was the NXT Women's Champ. She got called up last year. She was the runner-up to Nia for the Queen of the Ring. So now she's going to be in the finals here. So she's getting a lot of good, big push here and everything, which is nice to see. But this belt is set up for people like that, for people like Chelsea Green, Meechin, and everything. And again, it would have been a bad thing if Io won, but this is, you said it, like she's a main eventer. She's going to be going after the world championship at WrestleMania season. I personally think she's going to win the Royal Rumble this year. That's my early prediction.
That's a fun pick.
So I think of her being away from the IC title picture, like losing here, is kind of a signal of like, okay, she's going to move away from that and towards the Royal Rumble, which is in over a month. But yeah, I'm happy Lyra won. Good match. The only thing at the ending was like she had the not the roll up, but it was like Io had her, and then she did the pin.
Yeah, Io had her in the roll up or some sort of roll up, and that
flipped it
to like that back sort of.
But then the ref didn't count it at first.
There was a hesitation.
So that was. I was like, I wish there wasn't a hesitation because they've said 1, 2, 3. It was like, oh, whoa, that was quick. But since there was, it was like.
Io was lying there for like 6 seconds.
We have a few more seconds to be like, oh, she's pinning her. Oh, why isn't he pinning her? Oh, her shoulder isn't down. Oh, she couldn't kick out after 5 or 6 seconds. I agree. It's a good detail. My only complaint, but it doesn't take away from the match. It was just I watched that and I was like, oh, it made it feel anticlimactic. But
I agree.
Still, good result. Good win for Lyra. I'm excited for Dakota and Lyra next week. It's gonna be a great match.
All right, Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria. Who you got?
Dakota.
You know what's funny? Dakota. I had Dakota all the way up until watching this match, and I was like, damn, Lyra's that
I could
girl
see it.
too.
No, I could see Lyra winning it.
I could absolutely see them putting it on Lyra.
Io, I think it's
a real 50-50 for me.
I mean, Chelsea beat Bianca in the triple threat match and Bayley on the way to winning the United States Championship. I can absolutely see Lyra. To me, I think I just have more of a soft spot for Dakota and like knowing what she's been through and stuff.
Yeah.
And like what she's had to go through to get here. I would love for her to get that recognition. But at the end of the day, both of them are very deserving of it. And I don't think you can go wrong with whoever wins.
I think my pick is also Dakota. But like I said, it is no longer like it's absolutely going to be Dakota. Like I really see this as a 50-50.
And that makes it even better.
Yeah, I'm excited. Mm-hmm. All right. Segment of the night. This main evented. We got the Seth Rollins and CM Punk segment. I got a bunch of quotes here. I guess we'll just kind of like go through them, comment on them, and then we'll talk about the whole thing. Seth Rollins first came out. He's talking his shit, blah, blah. CM Punk came out fiery.
Oh, yeah.
Like Seth was kind of just chilling, and then Punk came out. Punk was pissed off at Seth going, you took your ball and went home. And Punk came out pissed.
He was bull.
Fuck do you mean?
Everyone else does. He brought up Stone Cold. He brought up his Becky Lynch. He goes, but I'm the only one that picked my ball up and went home. He goes,
it was crazy. He mentioned Stone Cold and he was like, did Stone Cold pick up his ball and go home? And Seth, like off mic, Seth went, yeah, he did.
And then he's like, where's your wife been and stuff like that?
Did
like,
she pick up her ball and go?
And then Seth had his rebuttals and everything. Bro, this... Well,
I got some quotes. Okay. Took your ball and went home. He was pissed at that. Mm-hmm. Seth said, loved this line. You took a big chunk of change to go join the competition. How'd that work out for you? Seth said, we won the war and you want to come over and wave the flag with us? You were against us. Are you crazy?
He goes, keep going.
Earlier in it, CM Punk did Lil Bro Seth. Seth,
like, enough of that.
Seth rebuttal. You can't big brother me anymore because I'm the big brother. And then I got a couple of Punk quotes to end out the rebuttal. Punk says, I don't have this quote exactly, but he says like, I forget what the word, not guardians, but he said like, martyrs is what what he used.
A martyr.
He basically says he took arrows in the back like for years before Seth was even the guy. He said, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me.
Yep.
Basically, the reason you're able to do what you're doing is because of me, because the arrows I took, and I didn't get applauded for it back then, but now,
He said it took me 7.5 years to like be able to like 7.5 years to get to where he was. And he goes, it took me another 2 years to get them all out. And now I'm back and everything.
He says, he goes, I loved where I worked, which I don't know if he did. He goes, no, I loved where I work. I hated the guy I worked for, but he loved you.
So I think he was talking about Vince.
That's what
I can't believe that he like. I wonder how much. I mean,
I loved he loved you.
And Seth hated that. I actually, so funny you say that. I have that clip pulled up.
Yeah, put it to your mic.
Seth's face in it.
I love the place I work. I just hated the guy in charge, and he loved you.
He loved you is so fucking funny.
You watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Dude, it's so they obviously
good.
had to run some things by some people, but that Vince McMahon line, I saw someone tweet. It was Vince McMahon is like seething right now, and backstage Triple H is like airboxing whatever, like so hyped that they mentioned him, whatever. They were taking
such a good dig of like no, I
left because I had to.
I left because I had to, and also like, oh, the guy that was in charge, the abuser and X, X, Y, and Z. I hate him. That guy loved you. Wow.
Dude, that is. And he also was saying, like, when I was gone, like, you didn't stand up for me or, like, anything. Like, he was talking about, like, people covering him or, like, from the arrows and shit. He goes, you didn't and all that shit. So, really just explaining more so why he left and it being like, I didn't leave because I hated this. I love this. It's just, look at the guy that was fucking running everything.
Seth kind of ends it out by he says he never said this to his face, but he calls Punk a cancer and that he will burn him to the ground.
Because
fiery.
This was
great.
Where I think it was last year when they were doing WWE 2K stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it was, and they were asking Rollins about it. Punk was still in AEW at the time, but it was like things are going a little downward spiral. And they asked him about him, and he was like, he's a cancer. Like, basically, fuck him. Like, get that cancer out of here. So for him to bring that up in this case, and like, I'm not trying to make it seem like it's like it's a word that like shouldn't be said, but like when you say something like you're a cancer, like that's like like you
not
mean
nice.
it. You know, it's not nice.
Not nice.
It's not nice at all. So yeah, this promo,
was great.
They brought out the best out of each other. A lot of people were saying Seth Rollins didn't hold his weight in this case.
I disagree. I think Seth beat him.
I disagree completely. I wouldn't say someone one up the other. I think they both were perfect in giving each other the correct amount of jabs to kind of get us to next week and kind of add, because this was a match that we were kind of thinking was going to happen at WrestleMania. So we're kind of speeding it up in a case. I'm in the camp now that I think it's going to be like a trilogy. They're going to have more matches. There's no possible way that this is a one-off. No way.
This isn't like people are calling, oh, this is promo of the year. This is the best promo of all time. No, not even close.
I think they held back. Great. They held back here.
This was like if 10 is the most, right? I think they held back to like a 7 or an 8, right? I think they have a 10 in their back pocket.
100%. And if they have a match at WrestleMania, that's when we're gonna get that 10.
This feels like the nice little checkpoint. They're gonna wrestle. It's gonna be good.
They got personal enough.
Do they cool off and then revisit each other? Do we carry this for a few months into April? But yeah, no, I want this to last forever. I'm surprised we're getting it this early. Surprised we're getting it on Raw and Netflix. But we're here, and it's what we've been waiting for, and we're here.
It is what we've been waiting for, and I think Raw and Netflix, they're treating it like a WrestleMania.
It's gonna be crazy.
So it makes sense. You know, I get why they're having it here, especially if they're gonna have more matches, because you can do like.
I'm gonna blow my nose. Keep going.
Go ahead. They like Royal Rumble. They can interact. Elimination Chamber. If they have, if they put both of those men in the men's Elimination Chamber, they can interact there. They can do a bunch of things in the meantime, leading up to WrestleMania, to kind of continue their feud without them fighting. And then if you want to do WrestleMania, and then maybe you do like SummerSlam or whatever it may be. But this promo last night, I think, was good enough where we were already hyped up for the Netflix match on Raw and Netflix, but I think this really took it to that next level. They didn't get physical last night. It was just a pure mental game, and it got me hyped up. I don't want to speak for both of us, but I think it's fair to say that we're both fucking hyped up for next week and whatever. I honestly... same thing with Drew and CM Punk, their first match. I have no idea who's going to win.
No,
I have no clue. I think... Like CM Punk,
gun to my head, I'd say Punk.
I don't know, because he just won War Games and he won the feud with Drew. Seth Rollins, I think, is someone that does, like, in the trilogies that he's had trilogies with Edge, he's had trilogies with fucking I just blanked, I can't think of him. Cody Rhodes and some other people I might be missing. He does, over the last few years, he has a bad track record of winning feuds and stuff.
True.
I think it would be right for Seth Rollins to win at least this first one, because it is like Seth the last 2 years has defended the company from two guys that have come in from guys that have supported the competition. Like Cody Rhodes started the competition, and CM Punk got a big chunk of change from the competition, got fired, and then came over after shitting on the company. Seth Rollins lost the feud to Cody Rhodes in that case. I don't think it's crazy if Seth Rollins won this feud over CM Punk, especially if you want to give him that character of like defending WWE. He's the WWE guy and all that. But again, I could see CM Punk winning.
Like
I don't know.
You're talking not just this match, the feud in general.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, it's a little bit, it's not so much this, but it's a little bit of like CM Punk is the veteran.
Yes.
And Seth isn't like the new guy anymore by any stretch of the imagination. But Seth is going to be at the top of wrestling for longer than, like, Punk's got a few more years in him, right? Like Seth's got some more shelf life. Yeah. I do think just because he's CM Punk and he is still a special attraction, it feels like he doesn't need to win every single feud like a Cody. I'm with you. I think it would be way more beneficial to Seth if Seth ends up coming out on top of this feud. I don't know if it's going to happen.
That's the thing. I have no clue.
But I'm with you. Because I mean, I am storyline picking sides, man. I get Seth. I get Seth.
I mean, if you don't understand where he's coming from, the sense of like defending a company and everything CM Punk did when he was gone was wrong. Shitting on the company, going to the competition. And he admitted during the promo last night I said I came here to make money, and next week I'm gonna make a whole lot of money. So
kicking your
now,
ass.
if you just look from the perspective,
what kind of face?
Why would you cheer for that? You know what? You're cheering because it's CM Punk,
right?
And you know who he is and everything. But in the grand scheme of things, Seth Rollins is the babyface here. He's the one in the right.
That's what I've been saying.
So, and you could have said the same thing about Drew if you wanted to, with Drew and CM Punk. But yeah, I don't know. I think both sides have a fair argument of who's going to come out on top of this match and feud in general. And I love the unpredictability of it. I think that's what's going to make this so great. I'm locked in. I'm buckled in. But man,
I guess now
if Seth loses, I'll feel bad for the guy. I will.
Now that we're talking more about it, I think just not even about the whole feud, but on Netflix, I think Seth should beat Punk on Netflix. I do think. I don't know.
Now
I'm
curious. Question is, are they going to main event? Because Michael Cole said they were, and then there was they were like, no, Roman Reigns and Solo's the one being hyped up as the main event. But then last night they said Raw and Netflix headlined by CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Headlining and main eventing could be two different.
Headline could mean an hour and a half.
This is the biggest match. This is the biggest match of the night, but we're not putting it in the main event. Because if Rock is coming back, Roman and Solo are main eventing. I don't think they should main event.
I mean, it's another Drew and Punk Hell in a Cell thing,
and that's why I would think that CM Punk would main event to kind of give him we let that main event here, you can main event here. I think obviously the Bloodline story's been going on for longer, so in that case, like sure, like that they'll get the main event, but think more people care about Seth and CM Punk feud right now than Roman and Solo Sikoa. The only reason why Roman Sikoa main events is if The Rock returns. That is, and we said the same thing about Bad Blood. We said the same thing about Bad Blood.
That's what happened.
So we're gonna get that.
They
should main event.
They should. They definitely should.
I don't know.
That's
if they
interesting,
will.
huh?
We'll have to find out.
But yeah, I guess that's it for Raw. Unless you have anything more on that segment, I'm fired up. I'm looking forward to Raw on Netflix. I think it's gonna be a great show.
Yeah,
and
3 hours.
Yeah, I would say we're back to 3 hours.
Too.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be good.
I told Taylor, I said, "Do we have plans on January 6th?" She goes, "No."
We're going to DC.
She goes, I booked our flight to DC. I said, well, keep it that way. From 8 to 11, I am
locked in,
watching Netflix.
Yep,
I'm
with you.
I'm not being taken away from the TV there.
All right, we got World's End to cover. We got a decent amount of time
for this.
No,
okay.
because we did the Stashies.
I was thinking this, and I was like, I don't remember doing it, but maybe we did.
So all right, we're gonna just kind of bounce match to match here. We got the opener here. Will Ospreay defeats Kyle Fletcher to advance in the Continental Classic. This
Great match.
fucking rocked.
Unbelievable match.
But bloody instantly within the first 3 minutes of the pay-per-view. Kyle Fletcher licking Will Ospreay's blood.
Ugh.
This was fucking awesome. What an opener.
Yeah, unbelievable opener. And it's crazy that it makes sense, but they had the two the matches leading up to the finals at the end of the night. So some of these guys double
sick.
duty, which was pretty cool to see.
I have more to talk about like the finals of this match. Like this, Kyle Fletcher is the future.
100%.
Will Ospreay is still Will fucking Ospreay.
What was I gonna say? He used the Styles Clash as a finisher at the end, which cool. is a lot of people are like, he's using the Styles Clash, and it's like just a transition move and shit like that. He's kind of taken away from the the mystique finish of it, but he finished it here, so people were happy about that online. I saw it.
And then we had Okada defeating Ricochet to advance in the Continental Classic.
Spot where he's
running the ropes.
So fucking funny.
I'm glad we're getting like, he's still like technically a heel, and he's still doing his like flipping people off thing.
Okada, yeah.
But it's
comedy. It's comedy heel, but at the
it's
same
comedy
time serious.
heel, and now it's leaning more face, especially with the Bucks kind of a way. And then I saw the funny thing with this is like, this match was solid. Ricochet looked good. It is it's not crazy, but it's interesting what they're doing with Ricochet. How he's just kind of like,
he's doing a heel
he's
turn.
just kind of the bitch of AEW as well, and people are throwing toilet paper at him.
Yeah, I see where they're going here, but I'll tell you what. They are walking on a very thin rope here, because if they mess this up, they're gonna make Ricochet look like an idiot.
Yeah, man.
It needs to pay off. This type of story needs to pay off, because if what people take out of this is his annoying laugh, ha ha, and his head getting slapped in toilet paper, that's not a good look.
I mean, I
think it'll lead to something.
Do I super care about Ricochet at this point? Like, no. Like, I don't know.
I like
it's
that
weird.
they're giving him something. Like he's not just another member of AEW. It's not like they signed this high flyer. He's going to go and have great matches, but there's more to him than that. They're giving him mic time. They're giving him something to at least have some character. He did a thing with the Hurt Syndicate. I don't know if that'll continue, but if it leads to him joining them, I think that would be a good move for him.
Him with a mouthpiece of MVP would help
I think
him.
that's all he needs, really, because we know he's great in the ring, but.
Another comment I saw about this I thought was funny is like Okada. Okada half-assing a match is still better than like most wrestlers on the planet. But like one of the we'll talk about like the final of this, but people were like, oh yeah, Okada gave Ricochet. This isn't me talking, but it was Okada gave Ricochet nothing and then put on one of the best matches of the year.
He was on autopilot for the first match, and he was like, okay, I'll give you about 3.5 stars here, and I'll give you 5 to 6 later on. Hey, when you're one of the best ever, you can do that.
All right, moving on to Mariah May defeating Thunder Rosa in a Tijuana street fight. This was also great.
Yes.
This was fucking
crazy
sick.
finish. Going through the table at the end, I believe did the pile driver. Dude, Mariah May. She's incredible.
Even there was a pile driver on the apron too, right? That was the big.
Yeah. I just remember the closing spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this because it was a new opponent for Mariah May.
And Thunder Rose is great.
Thunder Rose
too.
is great. She obviously was a former world champion, has kind of been in and out the last year or so, injuries, other things going on, but cool to see her in this position again. Mariah May is having a great run as champ so far.
Generational.
And, Toni Storm is in the shadows. She's doing her own thing right now. So it's nice that they're kind of separating them.
I'm glad. Toni
Toni came out obviously and made the appearance, but like they're not super tying them in.
Yes,
like Mariah
agreed.
May really isn't focusing on that. She was focused on Thunder Rosa. So keeping that in the background, but also focusing on other feuds and such.
It was nice to see like these two thrive in like this sort of match we don't see a lot, I guess, in the women's division period, but like we haven't seen much of like Mariah May, or like, I mean, Thunder Rose has had her
Mariah
history
May
of
in
matches
like a
with like
fight, extreme type of
right. She had that match with Britt Baker.
Yes.
But these two thrived. I mean, Thunder Rosa we know is great, but this was just another checkpoint in the Mariah May career of like, oh, Mariah May is the future of women's wrestling. She's the future now. I gotta stop. I gotta get out of the habit of saying like so and so is the future, because she's the fucking world champion. She is
right.
the now.
But no,
of
I get what you mean.
You know,
she's the
now and the future.
In the grand scheme of things, she still is very young and new to all of this, and AEW especially. So yeah, I mean, she's the world champ, but she's still just getting started.
Yeah. MJF defeats Adam Cole to finally, hopefully, end this feud, right? We're
over. We're done. We're done.
It's a fun match for what it was. I mean, at the end of the day, it's MJF and Adam Cole, but like, they we're long overdue for this match.
Yeah.
They did it. It happened. But it was also for the Dynamite Diamond Ring, which, like, who gives a shit?
MJF is still the only one to have ever held and won the AEW Diamond Ring. So
this ended.
I might as well just call it the MJF Diamond Ring at this point. Just have him defend it every year.
This ended with kind of an undisputed era reunion with Kyle O'Reilly, kind of finally siding with Cole.
And then the two
Matt Taven and what's his face? Mike Bennett.
Yeah, Mike Bennett.
Sure.
Listen, man.
Whatever.
I don't know if this is a hot. I don't know how I feel about MJF right now. I don't know if it's this feud or what it is, but since he's been back, I haven't been bought into him. I don't know what it is.
See, I think it's all booking. I don't think it has anything to do with it.
I think it is the booking and stuff. And like, obviously this story is like,
him being the international champion was fun.
It was fun. I like that. I really wish they extended that a little longer. I saw this tweet, and I'm not saying I agree with it or anything like that, but it was someone pointed out that he feels like MJF may have outgrown AEW in the case of like he became bigger than like I don't know how much of a bigger star he can become in AEW, where it's like what is left for him to accomplish, or like like at this point, I mean, AEW's been around for like 5 years now, and it's like his promos are still great, but even the last few months, it's like not rinse and repeat, but it's like, okay, you have this line, now it's like plug and play this person's name instead of last person. It's like cheap crowd reactions.
We feel like we've hit prime and peak AEW MJF already.
I don't want to say that because I feel like he's still so young. Like he's our age and like he still has so much room to go. But I feel like even like him dabbling into Hollywood and kind of getting himself going there, it seems like he's really setting himself up to be this. I think he's become a bigger star than AEW itself. And I'm not saying that to shit on AEW. I'm not saying that to shit on MJF or nothing. That's just what I feel like I've seen over the last few months. And I'm not saying they can't correct it, or like 2025 things get reset and post this feud, maybe they have something lined up for MJF and everything I'm saying is irrelevant. But that's just how I've been feeling the last few months of MJF.
My take is it's very similar. It's down the same path, but a little diverging, where like of similar thinking in the sense of MJF should be presented as the biggest star, because he is the biggest star in AEW.
I agree.
And him doing the international stuff with Will Ospreay was great, but it still wasn't like the main event. This Adam Cole stuff is finally over. Hopefully we're moving on. But it is just shocking and confusing that MJF isn't in the world title picture, or at least like at minimum, if you want to cool off on the world title picture involving him, just like being presented as your biggest star. That's what it is for me. And I think I'm not necessarily totally on board with that. Like I totally get the thought process of like he feels like he is the biggest star. I don't know how much I agree with the outgrowing AEW thing, but if he deserves and should be presented as the biggest star, and if he's not, I wouldn't blame him for leaving to go to a place where he would be presented as a big star.
And to that, unfortunately, not only did he sign an extension, but he also got a tattoo on his leg, which we talked about.
That too is low enough where you cover that up with a boot.
No,
what's his extension? A couple of years, 5 years.
I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, he did sign like a
lot of money, and obviously things can happen and whatever, but. Yeah, I don't know. This again, I don't even know if I fully agree with that statement. Like I said, of him outgrowing AEW. It's an interesting observation, and I'm not completely against it. I see where that argument is coming from, and
I think the argument comes from more of like kind of what I'm saying of like frustration of like,
you should be treated.
You have MJF, which I think we're gonna come out of this feud now that it's over.
They had to close this circle.
Close this out.
They had to end the chapter here.
I think going forward, maybe we'll cool off like for a few weeks or a month or whatever. But I think we're gonna, or I think and I hope and I speculate that MJF we're gonna get in 2025 coming out of this feud is gonna be we're back to. MJF is the guy in AEW.
And you said maybe they wanted to take time off from the world title picture, kind of separate him. Well, he was away from the title picture all of 2024. So I think a year is good enough. I know they have the whole John Moxley thing going on here, and we'll get into it and all that, whatever, at the end. But I'm optimistic about MJF.
MJF still had like my match of the year was his Iron Man match with Will.
Yes,
so correct. To counterpoint like some of the stuff that you saw. I'm not saying that's what you said, but the stuff that you saw is like MJF is still that fucking guy.
Yes,
but it's really just AEW not putting him in that position that he deserves. Like he should be the Cody Rhodes of AEW.
Could you imagine if he was the one that? Could you imagine if he was the one that burnt down Swerve's house? I'm obviously kidding, but I think they should he should be. He's the fucking evil heel. Let him do evil shit. Yeah. Don't let him take cheap jabs at guys and getting cheap pops. Like have him do evil shit. That's what I want to see.
But we have old man Undisputed Era back.
That's right. Thank God. Thank God.
Takeshita defeats Powerhouse Hobbs to retain. I don't have much to say about this. It was solid. Yeah, it was probably some of the best we've seen of Hobbs. This wasn't Takeshita's 10 out of 10.
Nah, just it was a filler match.
Yeah.
Good filler match.
Yeah, it was solid.
Two big men.
Over like this event was fucking great.
For what it's worth, they put the card together well. For sure.
I'm excited, not just like breeze over that. Like I don't have much to say about it. I'm excited for Takeshita in 2025. I think 2025 is going to be a monumental year for Takeshita. And this was kind of the start of it.
Definitely a few guys that we can, in AEW, that we can hope for that have massive years. Takeshita absolutely being one of them.
Oh, another person I thought we were kicking off a massive year with did lose this next match. Mercedes Moné defeated Chris Statlander in their second, their rematch, their number 2 they were billing it.
Yeah.
Which if they're already billing this as number 2, we're probably getting a number 3. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I had the same prediction as whatever the last pay-per-view was for AEW, where, again, I thought Statlander was winning it. I thought her losing the first one, this being World's End and going into 2025, I thought we were getting a big title change in Chris Statlander winning it, and then Mercedes moving on to the world title, maybe. This was it was probably the best Mercedes match we've seen in AEW. I had a really fun time. This was great. I
see you have it written down.
Oh, yeah.
The second note.
The second note here is this was about 23 to 24 minutes long, which is a record length for a women's match in AEW, which, like, the critique that AEW is just under such a microscope where no matter what they do, people are going to say something. People are like, this should have happened forever ago. How did it take 5 years for this to happen?
It's not more so whatever. I can't believe that they've never had a match this long. It's more so me looking back at some matches and being like, that match really wasn't like 20 plus minutes. Like Britt and Thunder Rosa. I'm just like, that match wasn't like 20, 30 minutes long.
Am I surprised it hasn't happened already? Yes. But like, I'm not
here sitting like, oh, AEW doesn't care about their women's division or anything like that. That's the reason or nothing.
For over the past 5 years, if you're gonna just do all this, that's the argument always comes out of comparison. If you're gonna compare, AEW's booked their women's division better than WWE has, like, a lot of the time. And it's, WWE's had it, then AEW's had it, whatever. But like, AEW's done a great job of booking their women's division. They've had great world champions. Sure, there's been ebbs and flows here. Their women's tag isn't really anything.
Yeah. I think they you mentioned, like, I think it's been like back and forth, kind of like, all right, WWE has a better women's division now, AEW does. I definitely think like when AEW started, like with the whole Britt Baker stuff, with the Thunder Rosas, with the
Jamie Hayter,
like, I think those were like the AEW women's division was better than WWE's. I think Toni Storm over the last year was the head and shoulders better than any other women's wrestler in the AEW division. I think she carried that division. If she wasn't around this year, I think WWE's women's division would have cleared AEW's. But I think it is a nice, like, I'm also saying WWE, not counting NXT.
Yeah, me too.
That's its own thing.
For sure.
But yeah, I think it is like, I don't know. You want to critique AEW for not treating their women well, but it's like WWE doesn't have a great track record of over the years.
Have you seen how their fucking tag division's been booked since the title?
We had to do this whole revolution of give divas a chance years ago, and even like we complain now, like over the last few months, like Bianca and Jade, we're having 1-2 minute matches.
Right.
So it's like, if you want to critique that, that's fine. But you can also look at WWE and they're doing the same thing, if not somewhat worse. Yeah. So
it's just a statistic for people to be like, hey, this shouldn't happen.
And again, it's a statistic that I look at being like, oh, I'm surprised there hasn't been a match that's gone that long.
All it is.
That's
like,
all it is.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised it hasn't been because there's been so many great AEW women's champions. Like, I'm surprised it hasn't happened, but it's not like it's a dumb critique.
We're on the same page there.
But overall, to circle back, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I didn't think Chris Statlander was gonna win this
I was gonna bring it back to this match
just because Mercedes is still like, she's Mercedes, and she's still kind of not new to AEW. I want to make it seem like she just debuted, but I really think that she's the biggest name. Yeah, she's the double champ. I just think they have more for her to do with this belt or these belts. And Chris Statlander should get hers next year. I think you said
that's like more so. That's like my whole thing is like, I really just keep thinking it's gonna be Statlander is the next up.
You said Takeshita, huge year for him, right? 2025. Same thing for Chris. I think she should have a huge 2025.
It is funny, and this is kind of a conversation also leading into the next match with the Continental title. But it's like, if you look at Mariah May is great as the AEW Women's Champion,
correct?
But like, you also have Mercedes with the TBS title, and this match with Statlander made it feel like the most important women's title. Continental Classic, you had fucking Okada versus Will Ospreay.
Yeah,
that's the Continental title. That's not the world title.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They should have swapped Mariah May and Thunder Rosa for Mercedes and Statlander. I feel like you could have just swapped
like on the card, or
on the card, because then you put the AEW Women's World Title.
Oh, agreed.
Towards the end, and then it makes it feel more important. Because if you put the TBS belt, I get it. Mercedes Moné is the bigger name. You put her later on, but I think it would have been pretty beneficial to the World Championship if it was towards one of the last matches.
It is just weird how their World Title division is booked versus like the mid card titles, but like Mercedes and Statlander and Okada and Ospreay were both better than their preceding world title division, whatever.
Sure.
But anyway, not to harp on that. Either way, though, I'm not like I'm sad Mercedes won. I just would have been more happy if Chris won.
Right,
but like I said, this was the best we've seen of Mercedes in AEW. Obviously 2 to tango. Shout out Chris.
Yep.
This is fun. This was a good match. I'm excited to see where Mercedes is going to keep taking the TBS championship.
Absolutely.
All right, we got a very late match of the year contender here in Kazuchika Okada defeating Will Ospreay to retain the Continental Championship in the finals of the Continental Classic. The cool part of this too is, like you said way earlier, is they both wrestled earlier tonight.
Yep.
They came back later in the finals. Will Ospreay was covered in dried blood with the bandage.
Yes, he was.
This was awesome.
Yeah, it was
dude.
a great match. Two of the best in the world, two of the best ever going at it. This
was the Okada that people have wanted to see coming from New Japan. There was I'm gonna get the numbers wrong, but it's something like this. I tried looking it up, I couldn't find it. But between Will Ospreay and Okada, they fought like 11 or 12 times.
Okay.
Will Ospreay has only beat Okada like 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
So Okada's beat Will like 9 times.
Okay.
So that's kind of the...
I think it makes sense. He's like the older vet and stuff. I think
Yeah.
Okada was kind of the face of New Japan as Will was coming up and everything. So yeah, that makes sense.
If we were doing predictions, my prediction would have been Will taking it. But like after this match, it was like, ooh, either one could have won. This was
100%.
fucking awesome.
It was awesome. It was awesome. And then at the end of all of it, we see a return from Mr.
Oh, right.
Kenny
Yeah. How did I
Omega.
even... I was like... In my head, I was like, what?
Who?
I honestly
Yeah.
totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Kenny's back,
Yeah.
bro. That's what I mean. And that's kind of going on what I'm talking about, too, of like the Continental Classic, Continental Championship versus the World Championship is like, in this, bro, you had Will Ospreay and Okada having a match of the year.
This should have main evented.
And then Kenny returning.
This should have main evented.
And then that final image of Okada and Kenny.
This should have main evented.
And then you that's not the world.
No.
Are you crazy? If you just showed someone this and they're like, oh yeah, so that's like their world title picture, right?
Nope.
No.
It's
not.
one of their
mid-card
three
titles.
it's one of their 3 mid-card titles.
Yeah, dude, Kenny's back. He looks great.
He's fighting next week, I think.
It's coming up.
He
has a match in Japan. Yeah.
I think it's within the next week. He came back as like an EVP. Gave Okada the belt at the end, so they're obviously we're previewing that match.
The suit looks great.
I don't know if Kenny's gonna go back to like full time immediately in AEW. Like I know he's having the match in New Japan.
I doubt
I can
it.
picture him kind of like being this EVP in a suit for a few months, and then like makes his comeback and all that stuff. But
I'm fired up.
I am too. I fucking wish this main evented. I think this would have been a great closer to the show. We'll get to the main event and what happened there, but these are your 3 biggest stars.
Yeah.
You could say, or at least the 3 most technically gifted wrestlers in your company. And like, I feel like this was such a big moment that got overshadowed by what happened afterwards, which,
before we move on, just a couple things about the match though. Like I'm trying to think back on it. Like that final sequence of Will and Okada just going fucking 100 miles a minute. Will Ospreay countered the Rainmaker into a fucking Spanish fly. Counters on counters. I forget what ended it, but I mean I think Okada finally hit the Rainmaker, but like I had a ball. If the Stache Award, which I'll say this, I think the new thing of the Stache Awards is everything post Stache Awards is now for the new year.
Next year.
So, which I don't know how if in almost exactly a year, if I'm gonna remember to be like, oh wait, Okada versus Ospreay in December 2024.
Like,
you know what I mean? But like an early contender for match of the year in 2025.
Yeah, I think we can count it. It's the year post Stache, pre Stache, or that's our yearly awards.
But yeah, the preview, is it All In? Was that the banner they had up, or was it All Out?
In Texas.
All In.
Yeah, that's definitely where they're setting it up, because that's in June or July. It's in the summer. So that's why
they had something else. What's the other thing they were hyping up? They had 2 pay-per-view banners. It was All In. It wasn't Dynasty. Was it Dynasty? I don't know what it was.
Dynasty coming up?
I have no clue. It was Revolution. I think it was Revolution. And maybe it was also Dynasty.
I don't know. I just remember the All In, because it's a Texas. It looks like a belt buckle and shit like that.
Fired up.
Yeah, fired up.
All right, we'll move on to the main event here. We're coming down to the end of the show. We'll end on this. We had Jon Moxley defeating Orange Cassidy, Jay White, and Hangman Adam Page to retain the AEW Championship. There was obviously some Death Riders interruption here. My take is like, the match was fun. Like, it's 4 of the best wrestlers on the planet are in this match. It ended like right as like it was hitting that gear, like at its peak. It ended. We didn't even get like much of its peaks. Like right when it hit, it ended. John Moxley retained, which I don't think was the wrong decision going into 2025.
That was the right move.
But then more, I guess, as we were kind of overshadowed the match and whatever we had, which we haven't talked about this. I've been kind of talking about it on Twitter too, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. It sounds like we're on the same page about it, but FTR returned. Boom. Whoa, crazy. Hell yeah, whatever.
Wait a minute, but they're standing there, but there's an open spot in the middle of them.
You think you know me. We got the return of Adam Copeland, deemed rated FTR on the screen. I
do like the name.
I like rated FTR.
I do like the name.
They come in, they confront Mox and the rest of the Death Riders. I believe we're getting the 6-man tag match on Dynamite. Has that been announced? I think
I honestly have no clue.
I think there's a 6-man tag match on Dynamite announced, but like the bigger story obviously also is Adam Copeland and Moxley. Their program is kind of seeing what we're going to kick off 2025 for the AEW Championship. Yeah, I feel like you've been kind of itching to give your piece. I've been kind of talking, so, and I feel like we're gonna be on the same page either way. So go ahead.
I feel like
I love it.
I actually feel like I'm gonna come across as such a hater, and like I feel
I'm
like
not too far behind you.
What I said with MJF earlier too, I think people are just really gonna hound me on this one.
Oh.
I am so disinterested in this storyline. I actually can't believe how little I care about this. Considering how much of a big deal they made out of fucking killing Bryan Danielson.
Yep.
Doing this whole thing. When the announcers, JR or someone goes, oh, Moxley's blah, blah, blah. It's like, but why is he doing this? And there's just radio silence. There still is no explanation of why he's doing this.
Where's Shane McMahon?
Who's pulling strings? If there's been no explanation of this story every single week. And I love John Moxley. I do. But every week when he cuts a promo, it's the same fucking we're just going in circles with this story, and like we're getting the fatal 4-way. It's great. Again, you said like 4 of the best wrestlers.
Yeah,
you can't go wrong with that. But the match ended way too early.
Pretty lackluster.
I already felt like the direction we're going down was pretty wacky. But now you're having a 50-year-old who joined AEW a year ago, coming in to defend AEW from a guy that's been there for 5 years. Right. With 2 guys even that with also FTR, came over later on. And I just don't get it. I don't understand like why, like Adam Copeland returning. Awesome. I love Adam Copeland. I love FTR. This isn't for, I don't think this is the story for them. I don't think this is the story where Adam should have returned. I don't think Adam Copeland isn't defeating John Moxley for the world championship. It's not a believable opponent for him. It's not a believable guy that could dethrone him. In the great, like, there's no plot or really big explanation to all this. But at the end, I still feel like I know that Darby's going to pin Moxley, and then Christian's going to cash in the contract on Darby. Like, although I don't know what's happening in the story, I feel like I already know how it's going to end. You know, and I don't think. Like, predictability is okay. Like, oh,
they showed Hook in the stands too. Remember they showed Hook,
right. But they like, it's okay to be like, okay, like we know where it's going, but like, I don't know how we're gonna get there, but I still know what's happening. I feel like I'm coming off as a hater, but I'm just so like out of this story. I just don't care.
I don't have much of a problem with the Death Riders and Moxley. He cut a promo, I think it was on Dynamite, and it made me pretty optimistic for 2025 with the Death Riders and John Moxley. And like I said, I'm with you. Where like I'm also like the story isn't awesome, but I'm less so on them. But my main thing is where I agree with you 100% is the Adam Copeland FTR thing. Like I also fell pretty flat. I think the crowd also didn't even seem to give a shit, especially after you already got your Kenny return.
Exactly.
Maybe whatever it was 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I love Copeland. I love FTR. Rated FTR is sick. The person that designed the Rated FTR t-shirt followed us on Twitter the other day.
Oh, really?
Yep. So
That's
shout out them.
sick. I would love for them to win the trios belts. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
For them. But the world championship, I think where
The trios belts is still Claudio, Pac, and Yuta, right?
Yes, Yuta.
Could have fooled me.
I think where I come from too is like where we're coming from and how the story was being presented when it started. Like this was meant to be like presented as this could be the biggest storyline in AEW history. Like with retiring Danielson, Moxley flipping AEW upside down, someone maybe a higher power, whatever it may be.
They lost the plot of like AEW versus AEW. Like that's where we seem going. And it's like,
yes, exactly. So, I mean, listen, I'm not saying they can't turn things around and in 25, maybe, you know, it gets better.
Yeah.
But right now where we are, I could care less about this story. And that's a shame. And again, I want to care.
Not to reiterate what we already talked about, but like it plays into where you look at your Continental Classic division and you had Okada versus Will Ospreay and you have Kenny Omega coming in to challenge Okada, and that's not your world title. And then you look at what the world title picture is, which is supposed to be bigger than you know the fucking mid card, and it's a 50-year-old Adam Copeland versus a fairly for me more so a fairly directionless or more so confusing direction sort of John Moxley. It's just you're telling me Copeland and Moxley are going to main event over Kenny Okada? It's going to happen, but it's like, do we really do we care?
The Fatal 4-Way match was a match filled with 4 amazing wrestlers that it didn't deliver. So it wasn't like a 5-star match, we'll say.
Yeah.
And the return was a little bit underwhelming. The match before them had 2 of the best wrestlers. They did deliver, and they had a return that fans loved.
Just swap the belts.
That's all
you need to do is swap the belts.
Because swap the belts or just swap the placement. Because it's like we were saying Edge returned, the crowd's like, oh, we already got our big return. But hey, guess what? If Edge returned, I keep saying Edge, if Adam Copeland returned and then Kenny returned at the end, they wouldn't be tired. They would still cheer for Kenny.
And then you also would have gotten like the narrative of we had the Adam Copeland return and then we got a Kenny return.
Exactly,
right now it's we got the Kenny return and then we ended it with the Copeland return and that's the program and like whatever. World's End made me pretty optimistic about AEW in general as a whole, especially with Mercedes, Okada, Will, Mariah. The list goes on.
Of course, there's bright spots.
This was a wild way to end. This was a crazy way to end. It really was. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
We'll see where they take it.
Like I said, on Dynamite, I'm almost positive they have the 6-man tag booked with
we'll see if they tweet
the 6. Yeah, I guess it's easy to find out, right? And then once you find that out, that is the show, and we will head over to patreon.com/Stache Club Wrestling for an entire bonus episode, an exclusive podcast over there where it's a Q&A and we're answering questions, and I saw some films.
Yeah,
I saw some films.
Did you? Actually, I think I've seen your letterbox or your tweets. Yes, so FTR in the hometown of Asheville, North Carolina. Dynamite Fight for the Fallen.
FTR's
hometown.
Oh,
Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's Fight for the Fallen, so it's a special.
So who's on the other side?
Moxley, Claudio, Yuta.
Okay.
Versus Rated FTR.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
somehow maybe
we'll
FTR will.
We'll be tuned in. We will be seated.
All right. Kind of leaving on a deflating note. But,
sorry.
Thank you, everyone. I guess this is our final episode of 2024. Thank you, everyone, for a great and monumental 2024 for Stache Club Wrestling. Only on to bigger and better things. 2025 is going to top 2024. I'm telling you.
We're not ending 2024 like AEW did at World's End.
We're not having a 50-year-old Big Nick. Come on in.
Whoa. AJ. You're not our boss anymore. Anyways.
Patreon.com/Stache Club Wrestling for a bonus pod, and you get a little more of that. And yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't know. I don't feel the need to be. I don't know. I'm not gonna get too sentimental, but thank you everyone
so much
for the past year. And I think everyone. I feel like we did our sentiment. We've been doing our sentiments, and I think this is, to cap this one off. Everyone have a good and safe New Year, New Year's Eve. You're going out tonight or whatever. Have a Miller High Life on me. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to go into 2025 with you, Sophie, and everyone coming along for the ride.
Hey, big year for us, brother.
I'm excited.
Can't wait.
2025 is going to be cool.
Thank you guys for the support. We wouldn't be here without you. And we will see you. We'll see you all next year.
It's true.
Peace. I had to go to IHOP and do the pancake punishment, which is you have to be in IHOP for 24 hours. Each pancake you eat takes off an X amount of time.
Should John Cena win the Royal Rumble this year? I don't think Wendy's chicken nuggets get as much credit as they deserve. I would love Sammy. Kevin.
I'm going to say it. I hate it. The
Rocky.
Rock. It's The Rock. No, if The Rock is in the Rumble,